My roommate secretly filmed me for her art project, so I turned her into unwilling performance art. My roommate Zoe was this art student who basically saw people as props for her art projects. She'd draw me crying after I failed tests and turn it into some piece called Academic Despair. She took pictures of me counting quarters for ramen and made a whole series about being poor. She even recorded me talking in my sleep about my anxiety and played it at her gallery show. She said she was giving a voice to people who didn't have one, but honestly she was just using my pain for her career. The thing about Zoe was, she kept getting worse. When my mom called to tell me she had cancer, I went to my room and cried. Next week, Zoe showed off these big fabric sculptures that looked exactly like how I was sitting when I was crying. She must have been watching through the keyhole or something. Her artist friends came over and went on about how brave she was while I served them wine I couldn't afford. When I tried talking to her professor about how messed up it was to use my pain without asking, he basically told me I was too dumb to understand art. She had notebooks where she wrote down everything I did like I was some kind of lab experiment. Tuesday, 2:15 p.m. subject shows signs of financial stress orders, water at coffee shop. She knew which days I didn't eat and when I had panic attacks. Her professor came by once and said her work was this deep commentary on class struggle. Zoe stood there in designer jeans her parents bought while talking about my authentic poor person experience. She'd actually taken my missing scrubs and my dad's old watch to put in her installations. The worst part was when she started selling prints of my mental breakdowns to pay for her spring break trip. One day I smelled chemicals coming from Zoe's locked studio room. The smell was really strong, so I called maintenance and said there might be a gas leak. When they opened the door, I saw her thesis project with these life-size dolls wearing my stolen scrubs. The worst part was my therapy journal pages glued all over the dolls. All my private thoughts about my eating disorder were just there for everyone to see. When she got home, I asked her about it and she smiled at me. She said I should be thankful she was making my story important. I didn't say anything else and just walked away. Standing there knowing she'd taken my whole life for her school project, something changed in me. I wasn't mad anymore. I was just done being her art supply. Her big thesis show was happening in 6 weeks at the University Gallery with all these important art people coming. I signed up to help set up the show, which meant I could get in early. Around that time, I found her personal journals because her laptop accidentally printed them to our shared printer. She had notes where she rated possible roommates based on how much trauma they had. She called us poverty pets and wrote about the best ways to get authentic suffering out of us. She had pages making fun of old roommates and their boring problems while she was spending thousands on art supplies. I started saving proof of her real life, like receipts for expensive clothes and spa days. I kept track of everything while she thought I was just another dumb roommate she could use. The night of her show, I got there early since I was supposedly helping set things up. The gallery filled up with critics and art collectors and Zoe's rich parents. Zoe talked about working class struggle while wearing thrift store clothes she picked out to look poor. When she finished talking, I pulled back a curtain to show what I'd set up. I'd made my own dolls using Zoe's expensive clothes stuffed with her bank statements and trust fund papers. The dolls were posed counting money and laughing at roommate applications. I walked out wearing her most expensive dress and started reading from her personal journals out loud. Another poverty pet acquired. This one has excellent trauma potential with a dead father and sick mother. Her parents turned white while I kept reading. Watching her ration insulin while I get my weekly allowance is almost too ironic. Zoe ran at me trying to grab the journal and kept saying people didn't understand the context. Security had to hold her back while she kept saying it was all a misunderstanding. I'd invited all her old roommates and they stood up one by one saying who they were. The people who gave money to the gallery started leaving when they realized they'd been paying for predatory art. One big art collector said really loud that he was taking back all his money from the gallery. Her professor tried to defend her but stopped when he saw she'd written about him. She'd put in her journal how easy it was to trick him with her fake social justice stuff. I put a mirror in front of Zoe with a sign that said, "The artist observed." 6 months later, her thesis got rejected and she was working at a coffee shop near school. She got jumpy whenever customers took out sketchbooks. Her parents stopped giving her money after being embarrassed in public. I finished nursing school and started a fund to help people who got used by artists. She wanted to show authentic human struggle, but now she actually has to live it.